Hey there, YouTube. Greetings from the past. My name is Liam. Today I'm going to be talking about why borders don't exist. This is kind of a pertinent topic given current events, which I'll try not to get into too much. But yeah, I don't think borders exist. Obviously, they exist in practice. You can try crossing one if you want to find out. Certain borders are definitely going to be a little bit more serious, militarized than others. But nonetheless, borders don't exist. So why do I believe this? Well, at the end of the day, a border is just an imaginary line drawn by a politician on a map. There's real borders, there's the Rocky Mountains, the Rio Grande. There's, geographical borders. They exist, and they've impacted people in the past. Can't cross this river. It's a mile wide. Getting over the Rocky Mountains is hard. Just look at the Donner Party, So geographical borders totally exist. But if you look at a map, a lot of borders are very weird. They're straight lines. They, often bisect cultural groups. Just look at India. A real bad example of that going on. So, at the end of the day, borders of nations are just imaginary lines drawn on a map by some politician. And we shouldn't have to recognize them. They're ridiculous. I completely disagree with borders. And, again, I don't want to get into current events too much, but right now in the United States, this whole border problem with our southern border is a big thing. It's on everyone's mind. And I think it's ridiculous because no one born south of the border should have less rights than anyone born north of the border. That's ridiculous. If you're an American, you're supposed to at least believe in unalienable rights, rights of man, natural law. And borders don't jive with that. I don't jive with these borders, okay? I don't like them. They don't exist. They're imaginary lines. Every human being on earth has unalienable rights as far as I'm concerned. They're not given by man. They're given by God, our creator, whatever you want to say. So this idea that, you were born 1 mile too far south of this line drawn on a map before you were born, you don't get to, come to this country or something is completely ridiculous. It's asinine, And to go a little deeper into the whole Latin American thing, yes, this country is being, heavily visited by people from Latin America, Central and South America, and really the whole world. But just to speak on Central and South America, our government has been involved in destabilizing those nations for decades. Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, all of this stuff. The CIA has been playing around in South America for decades now at this point, at least since after World War II, but there was a lot going on, before World War II. So it's kind of our fault. Another problem is this nation's insane appetite for narcotics. Even if actors within the United States weren't purposefully doing things like initiating coups, overthrowing elected leaders, rigging elections, running drugs, selling guns. Thanks, Obama. Selling guns to drug cartels, all these things that the United States government has done for some reason, If it wasn't for that, just our appetite for narcotics kind of allows for these narco states to the south of our border. But I don't believe in any borders. The southern border is illegitimate. The northern border is illegitimate. I really don't care. The only border I care about is private property. I completely believe in property rights. I respect private property. I think private property is one of those unalienable rights that were given by God. So if you don't want Hispanic people coming on your private property, good for you. Sure, I don't care. That's your prerogative. But if you think that you should be able to control the movement of any human being in or out of this country based on some imaginary lines that you didn't even draw, how many Americans have even seen the southern border? and they're on, you know, social media talking about whether it should be open or closed. You know, it's ridiculous. So yeah, with, you know, our current president and ICE and all these different entities, this has just kind of been on my mind, and I just wanted to share how I don't believe in borders. Yeah, and also with, you know, I don't want to go into current events too much, but this whole idea that like rounding people up and deporting them is the best way to rid this country of illegal immigrants, so-called illegal immigrants, is totally ridiculous. If you actually wanted to get rid of illegal immigrants in this country, you would make it very illegal with heavy fines and or possible imprisonment to employ these people. But that'll never happen because a lot of corporations and industries in this country benefit from illegal immigration. So all the more reason we should just get rid of borders entirely. Countries don't exist, government sucks, and respect private property. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks.